You're listening to the Small and Supercharged Podcast with Ria Freeman, episode 61. Calling all stationery lovers, have I got a treat for you? I'm so excited about this. I know I keep saying that. Today, I am going to share with you an interview I did with the incredible Martha Keith, who is the lady behind Martha Brook London, the beautiful stationery company who makes personalised and delightfully individual stationery. Last year, I was kindly given the Advent Calendar, which you'll hear much more about in the podcast, and I've also got other various bits and bobs from Martha. In addition to creating the most beautiful stationery, there's also some really, really lovely stories connected to the brand and the causes that they support, as well as some very exciting collaborations. I think you are going to love this one. If you listen, don't forget to screenshot, share to stories, and tag me and Martha. We would love that. Hope you enjoy it. On today's Small and Supercharged podcast, I'm so excited about this one. If you follow me on Instagram, which you likely will if you're listening to this, you would have probably seen lots of pictures of my stationery obsession manifesting in ways. I mean, I'm calling it, it's not really an addiction because I don't feel it's a problem. But one of the brands that you will see over and over again is Martha Brook. And I cannot believe we've got Martha Keith, who is Martha Brook. Well, it'll all make sense in a minute, on the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on, Martha.
Oh, no, I'm delighted, honestly. I think I first kind of became aware of you when you bought our Advent Calendar last year, and you did our absolute favourite Insta stories when you were opening the Advent Calendar, and I think we were all laughing in the office, and I just think you're really relatable, and I'm delighted to be on.
Oh, thank you. The Advent Calendar, we're going to talk about that because you just, at the time of we're recording, it's just out, and
it just landed exactly last week.
It's
so
insane.
Very much a hot topic right now, and hopefully will still be by the time we get to mid-November.
Yes, well, if not, people can look forward to me opening it throughout December in my own unique way. So,
Brilliant.
Can you tell us a bit about you and how you grew your business to be what it is today?
Yes. So really weirdly, at the time of recording, next week is our business's 6th birthday, which is a bit insane. So it sort of feel like I blinked and it sort of happened. But so going back 6 years ago, I was doing something very, very different. I was working in a very corporate job for a large healthcare company. I shan't name them. I really enjoyed it. I joined them as a graduate. I had done various sales and marketing jobs. The job I was doing at the time was they called it a regional business director job. It was sort of like a sort of sales director looking after part of the business in the UK. And I hit 30, and I kind of had this moment where I thought sort of, oh, what's happening with my life? Where am I sort of going with this? And it was my first wedding anniversary with my husband. Slightly cheesy story, but I made him for our wedding anniversary this box of reasons I love you. So it's like 10 reasons Martha loved Chris. And with this really lovely moment, he had a little cry because he's quite soppy like that. And I thought, oh, this is really nice. We had this really lovely moment. And I thought, wow, maybe I could kind of create this moment for other people. And at the time, I'd been sort of in my spare time making the odd bits of stationery, and the kind of two sort of connected in my brain. And I thought, well, maybe there's something in the idea of making kind of personalized paper goods that are a bit more personal, a bit more memorable than what else you can get out there. And I'm very much an all or nothing person, Ria. So I took a week off work and wrote a business plan. And it was very much around kind of personalized paper-based goods. And I walked into my job and handed my resignation letter in. And I think they all thought I was absolutely mad. And in hindsight, I probably was, because I really did not know what I was doing. And I started 6 years ago next week from our house. And the reason the business is called Martha Brook is because it's my name combined with Brook Green in West London, which is where we were living when I gave him that gift. And it's meant to sound sort of personal. It's meant to sound like a person, because one of the big things about what we do is we try and be a bit more relatable, a bit more personal, a bit more thoughtful than other stationery brands. And I do think there's a real gap in the market in the UK for a sort of stationery company with a face behind it, and a company that you feel you can relate to and chat to, and that's really what we've been trying to build. And it's sort of grown from very humble beginnings of just me in my spare bedroom to where we are right now, which is having a little office in West London, which is kind of next to Kew Bridge, and a little team of people, and also my husband, who quit his job 3 years ago to join us. And yeah, that's kind of where we've got to.
I love it. And I have to say, what you're saying about the personal touch and having a real face and a person behind the brand comes across so well. I love your Instagram particularly. I follow you on all the places, but your Instagram particular I absolutely love. And there was something not very long ago where you had put together some of the most, I'm going to say, amazing personalization requests you've had.
Oh right, yes.
Oh my goodness, I was in stitches over those, and I just
Yeah,
thought,
those are the ones that I can share. Can you imagine the ones that I can't share?
but I thought not many other brands would do that. But I think that just it was brilliant. It was very warm and relatable and funny, but it gave a real life perspective to someone who's receiving these requests and getting them personalized. I loved it.
We do, because what that original gift that I gave my husband, the box of Reasons I Love You, went on to become one of probably our biggest ever seller. It was huge because we sell on not on the high street, as well as through our website and as well as through a couple of other places, which I know we're going to talk about soon. And around Valentine's Day, honestly, we just get the most random requests, and of course everything is made by people. It's not a computer, a big office factory, anything like that. It's all people making the products. That's a big part of what we do. It's all it's got the personal touch in there, and we do have a chuckle, and whenever someone new starts, there is kind of shock when you get people mentioning, honestly, you would not believe what people write down.
I bet it's quite funny because obviously your brand is beautiful and classy.
Yes,
and
very. Our brand is quite it's quite girly. It's quite feminine. It tries to be quite not premium, but definitely a bit more premium than you would get if you went maybe to a cheap stationery shop. And yes, some of the requests we get really are something. I won't go into them now because you might have to edit part of the podcast out.
they're amazing.
Yes, I know the post you're referring to, which was things people put on a notebook, which even that, honestly, you'd be surprised what people want to put on a notebook. But it definitely keeps us entertained, and it's a good reminder every time you're making sure, when you make especially at Christmas time, which I know is when this podcast is going to come out, the volume of things that you're making, every single one, you're reminded that actually this is somebody who is deciding to give this item or have it for themselves, and it's something that they have chose that is personal to them, and is going to allow them to capture things in a non-digital way that is going to allow them to keep it for a really long time. And it's a really good reminder, the fact that everything is bespoke, that you want to get every single one perfect.
And I bet some of the really random ones as well actually mean the world to the person receiving, even if they're rude and everything else, because someone's put that effort in and it's something that's unique and just for them.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And sometimes, one of our big things is that we're really happy to do bespoke requests. We do them free of charge, because we think it's really important that people have something that matches either their style or is thoughtful for the person that they're giving it to. And unless it requires days of design work, we're quite happy just to do something bespoke. And we've had things like along the lines of that 10 Reasons I Love You. We once had somebody did 70 reasons for someone's 70th birthday, and they wanted to put a picture on of their favorite Yorkshire pudding, and we're happy to do it if it means that person is happy. And then we get messages saying, oh, I read them every day, or my photo album has become my most treasured thing. And it's just that's why we do it because we know that these are ultimately things that people are going to keep for a long time, and that really means something.
And would you say that these were we're going to talk about the highs of your business. I know you've won awards, but would you say that like day to day, you'd actually get these highs from knowing what you're doing is really making a difference and making someone smile and make them feel special?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's so easy, isn't it? I put a quote on our Instagram earlier this year that, success is not what other people think it is. It's, you know, how it feels to you. And I think sometimes, you know, winning awards, you know, getting press features, you know, whatever it is, they don't necessarily mean as much as when somebody turns around and says, this is, you know, the best thing I've ever received and it made my partner cry, or you know, those are the things that really actually are the moments you think, oh, this is why we're doing it. And I'm a great believer, I'll have seen if you follow us on Instagram, in celebrating every little milestone, and you know, making it fun, and you know, having a laugh with it, because I think anyone who will know, who's listening to this, running a business is so hard. You have to be have so much, you have to continually be pushing yourself for the next thing, and you sort of never really have time to kind of stop and go, yeah, I did that. And that's why I'm a great believer in, you know, oh, it's a 6th birthday, let's have a little bit of a party, or oh, we've had this many orders, let's say, you know, that's a really good thing, or whatever the thing is, because otherwise it sort of runs away with you, and suddenly you're 6 years down the line, you're thinking, actually, you know, I did this because I wanted to do something which I felt would be more fulfilling, and actually, is it more fulfilling? And that's really the whole point, isn't it?
Completely. I think that's such a really important thing. And I think, as well as you say, when we run our own businesses, we're always pushing forward. And I think everyone's guilty of, we push for something, we get it, and we're like, right, next, rather than actually, that was really good. We did really well there. We worked really hard.
Yeah, I love that quote. Remember when you wanted what you have now. And I think that is so true, because you think, oh, you know, you start a business and you think, oh, I want to have that, and then you get there and you sort of forgotten that was where you were trying to get to, and you're chasing the next thing. And it's very easy to get carried away sometimes, and you know, stop. And I think, you know, happiness is not a destination, is it? It's the journey. It's the day to day. It's the, you know, being able to finish work at a certain time, and you know, have a nice evening with your toddler. It's not the you know, it's not actually ultimately the achievements that is the things that make you happy. It's the way you live your life around that. And I think sometimes that's why some of the richest people in the world aren't happy, because you know, none of those things really do make you ultimately fulfilled. And it's, the reason I'm very reflective about this at the moment is because definitely being 6
yes
it's definitely making me self-reflect on, you know, I left my job after, I think it was 7 or 8 years in that industry. I'm now kind of thinking, gosh, you know, 6 years is a long time. And you know, I left that job to do this because I wanted to do something that I thought would be ultimately more rewarding. And I'm definitely at that point of thinking, oh wow, I've done a really great job, and have I achieved what I ultimately wanted? And that's really making me think very hard about, you know, what I do next, which is really useful.
Definitely. Now, we've talked about, you mentioned sort of awards, but you have bagged yourself some really decent awards, haven't you?
Yeah, bits and pieces here and there. I do think it's useful. Awards are useful. You know, they're quite a good way of raising a business profile. You know, they're not the be all and end all, but yeah, we've won some. I was really lucky when we started out in our local area. We won quite a few business awards, and I won like their entrepreneur award. We've run a few awards from Not on the High Street, a few sort of other business awards. So yeah, no, I'm really pleased with those. I think it definitely is nice when somebody recognises you, and especially when, you know, it's a business or a, you know, an entrepreneur or something like that, because people are, you know, looking at your business. An external person is looking at what you're doing and saying, actually, you know, this is, you know, commendable. We want to recognize that. So I those things are hugely important to us, but not, you know, I know they're not the, you know, the be all and end all, but yeah, no, it's something that we're really proud of.
Now, we talked about how small business journeys are pretty difficult.
Yes.
Could you share with us any lows that you've had along your journey?
Oh gosh, it's hard. You know, it's not. I think the thing about running a small business is you look at other people doing it and you think, oh, you know, that looks quite easy, and you think, oh, we have this great product and people are going to come and buy it. And actually, you know, the reality is you have to, I hate the word, but you have to hustle, you have to make stuff happen. And it can be really difficult. I think when I first started and it was just me, going from, you know, having a corporate job, having a large team, to just being me, I definitely found I was quite lonely. That was really difficult period of, I knew where I wanted to get to, but it really felt like a mountain to climb. And you know, going from having a salary to have, you know, not earning anything, that early phase I definitely found difficult. I do think my lowest ever point, I think I've talked about this before, I did an interview recently with Reader's Digest, and I talked a bit about this. I sort of skirted it a bit, but I've learned a lot about people doing this. I thought I knew a lot about people in my old life, but I think one of the most important things if you're growing a business is the people that you employ, and you the team that you build. And I employed somebody who wasn't right, and I wasn't really bold enough at that point to kind of call it. I thought I could change them. I thought I could help them, because I'm the sort of person that likes to help people. And actually, when this was at the time when the business is in their home, they ended up being a bad egg, and very toxic in my workplace, which was my home. And it was, I think that was my lowest point of the business, where it was when I felt uncomfortable in my own house. And I realized, actually, do you know what, I needed to make some decisions. And that was a really, really interesting learning point for me, because I'm now so protective of Team Brook. And it's a really, hopefully this will come across, it genuinely is a really lovely place to work. Everybody is, you know, they're here because they really care about what we do. They've got great intentions, and we have a lot of fun. Which is really important, because, you know, we have these periods where it gets super busy and then it goes quiet again, and gelling and you know, knowing each other, and, you know, all, you know, wanting to do a great job is so important. And, you know, now if somebody joins and that it's not right, you know, I'm not afraid to, or somebody does something that is not great, I'll make it. I'm not afraid to make a difficult decision, because I realize now you have to act quickly on these things, because ultimately it's the company is too important. And we did actually have a very difficult decision earlier this year, when I had my first ever case of gross misconduct, and that was probably the hardest things I've had to deal with. And it's all these sorts of things that nobody tells you when you're running a business.
No.
And actually I take them very personally, because I you know, I am quite that's just how I am. You know, I'm not the sort of person that, you know, can just make a decision and move on. You know, I find anything like this just really affects me personally, and I think that's the thing I definitely has given me my lowest points, but probably the thing I've learned the most from.
I think on all your social media it does come across as a real team effort, and I know that it does have that feel like it's a person, and I know your obviously surname is Keith, not Brooke, but I can completely see why you would feel like that, because it is you, your name is attached to it. And I think that can make you really feel like it's a personal attack. And I think as well, you said about your team being such a big part, and I love in your stories, there was something when the advent calendar was being created, on your stories there was a picture of a chap cutting all the bits, and I love that.
Yeah. And well, actually because obviously I couldn't show over the summer what we've been doing, and so we took on 2 people literally to build advent calendars over the summer, James and Phoebe. And James had worked with us before. He's a local chap. Both of them actually are local to us. And I've been taking lots of secret videos over the summer of the mission that is Advent. And I'm planning, if I get a second, to cobble it all together and make some sort of behind the scenes video, because I have got some brilliant sort of footage of the reality of building you know, all these advent calendars by hand, which is definitely no mean feat. But yeah, no, I think it's important that people see the people behind the business, and I do really try and show that. I think the relatability of the brand is partly it's my tone of voice, and that is intentional, because the intention is that I'm telling my story to inspire other people to tell theirs through our products. But the second part of the relatability is you see the people that are involved in what you're buying. And Instagram stories I think are so important. And I think one of the things that small businesses can do that big businesses just can't is actually use those Instagram stories to show the reality behind a business. And I think once a business gets too big, they sort of can't give that level of authenticity that a small business can. And I think it's quite difficult, and it's quite scary when you're a small business to think, oh, I'm going to put myself out there on this thing, and I can see the number of people that have watched it. And I definitely have moments where I'm like, if you think about it too much, you must do this for everything. I can't do it because I can't.
Yes.
All these people are watching me. But you sort of have to get over yourself, don't you? Because actually the reality is that's what people want to see.
Yeah.
And I do try and, you're very good at talking to the camera, but I do try and do it every now and again, because I do think that people like to see the person, even though sometimes it freaks the hell out of me. You're very good at it though.
Oh, I just don't think about it too much. I just go for it, and then just that's that.
Yeah.
But talking about putting yourself out there, we've got to talk about the press, because you do your own press. I know that as we're talking now, yesterday your advent calendar was featured in Stylist magazine. Is that correct?
Yes, I was so pleased with that. And I think that I think when you start a small business, it's quite sort of daunting, the whole idea of getting press, but we've always done it ourselves. And I do think actually that people who work in the media quite like hearing from the business people or owner themselves. And you can pay PR agencies a ridiculous amount and actually, not necessarily achieve what you want. So well, at the moment we do it ourselves, and yes, it takes time, but if you just do a bit of sleuthing and a bit of research, you can find out who the people are that write these articles. And so just to use the advent calendar as an example, we did have a Christmas press event in July, which is the first time we've ever done that, which definitely was brilliant, and we met people like that. But when it landed last week, we've been doing our own press and contacting people, and one of the things we did quite early on is we thought, okay, digital press, they can act much faster than obviously the print press. So we contacted the digital people who do the online of a lot of these. There's always like a digital assistant or a digital features assistant or something like that who do the online version of our target market. So like female magazines, things like Stylist, things like also things like the Evening Standard, Grass, all these sorts of places. So we contacted them, and really luckily that one of the ladies picked it up, and actually it landed yesterday in my inbox. It was like the heading of the email, and I have to read this to you because I literally fell off my chair. The heading of the email from Stylist was Stationery Advent Calendar, click and add to basket stat.
Oh, I love that.
I know, I thought it was brilliant. And inside it said, opening these stationery advent calendars is the only way we want to spend December. And I was like, brilliant.
You couldn't pay for that.
I couldn't pay for that. No, and that was free. That was just us contacting people, having some good images, which is really important. And a little bit of blurb and copy about it. And the ladies picked it up. And they've done an article on their site and a newsletter, which is just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I do think for me to be able to say, or as seen in X publication, I do think does make a difference to credibility, and is a really it's a good way of spreading the word, because you have to do a few things. People tend to have to hear about you in a few places before they sort of make the leap.
Yes.
So I'm chipping away at Christmas press at the moment. It is definitely it's definitely hard work, but I think I would definitely recommend to any small business owner putting aside, even if it's just a day a month, to contact press and publications about new releases. And if anybody wants to ask me about that, they're very welcome to contact me. I'm very happy to give some tips.
That would be amazing. Thank you. Now, we've mentioned the advent calendar a few times, and I think now is the moment to deep dive into this. Last year, yes. I received one. I think last year, was it your first year of doing it?
It was. So last year, first year of doing it, we had the idea at the start of the year, and I think the challenge is Stationery Advent Calendar, we wanted to make it look a bit different to other things. And how do you get stationery items are awkward in terms of their size. So like a standard advent calendar where you've got like a cardboard block and you sort of open the doors, like to fit stationery in that, we felt it wasn't quite going to work for us. And also often they've got a lot of plastic in, and we just didn't really want to go down that route. So we had this idea of we called it initially boxes within a box. And the idea evolved, so it's like a series of boxes that look like a row of books on a shelf, all colourful, and each one of them is made from beautiful card, and it obviously can be recycled or reused, and you can sort of pull them out, and each one's got a different item of stationery in it. But if you could imagine thinking of 24 different items of stationery, it's actually quite hard. And they all have to match and all have to be beautiful, being the stickler that I am. So last year we did it for the first time. We were only going to initially do 200. They sold out really quickly. So then we had to make a whole load more. They then sold out, and that was sort of that. So we sold out well in advance of Advent. We made, and I think we ended up making 400 or 500 or something. And this year we've sort of doubled it, and it's definitely going it's going really well. New design, new colours, new contents, and it has sort of been a bit of a labour of love since January, and it's going really well. I think that the interesting thing for me is that we do get sales from other platforms, but this is something that sells incredibly well through us, purely through social media. And it has been the power of people like you talking about it. We had some influence. We had some amazing Instagrammers or influencers pick it up last year, which was amazing, and really has sold through word of mouth and Instagram, really, which is amazing.
I have to say, I was given it by a lovely friend, Emma Warren, who also bought one for her. She's got a lovely glamping venue called Dimpsey Glamping.
Yes, I guess, yeah.
And she bought one, so the people that came and stayed.
Oh, they got to have it every day. I thought it was amazing. Yes. Whoever stayed in the room that day, I thought it was the best thing ever.
It's amazing. She's so lovely.
I love that.
And it came, and I was going, oh my God. And each day it was just insane. And I kept, this is just the person I am, but all the little envelopes, because inside the box are these little boxes. I use them as I use some as Christmas card tags.
Amazing.
And I use some to write notes on.
Brilliant.
I like to repurpose.
I think that was the intention behind it. They are too beautiful to throw away. Obviously, all the packaging is either biodegradable or recyclable, so it's something that absolutely could dispose of in an environmentally friendly way. But the intention was that it was too nice to do that, and you would reuse it. And I know a lot of people use them for all sorts of different things. Somebody had this amazing idea of, because obviously the boxes say 1 to 24, of using it to put something in from each of their child's years of their life and then give it to them on their 24th birthday. And I was like, wow, that's like the most amazing idea.
That's cool.
So they're definitely are designed to be reused, and I think gift tags is a lovely way. Using them for like write things on is a really nice way. But this year's design, this year's contents I think are even better than last year. So I do think you'll really love it.
Ooh, I am genuinely really excited. I've actually got bits around the office. I've got your Believe in Magic card looking at me. Amazing. And there's lots of different bits around the place. I keep going, oh, that's from there. Now, before the Advent Calendar came out, which is very, very recently.
Yes.
Going back in time, but also it'll be the month after this comes out. You did an amazing campaign for breast cancer care.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us a bit about that, how that came about? Because it's a completely bespoke thing, isn't it, that you did?
Yeah, so one of the things we do try and do, although we don't shout about it very much, is we do try and do, as I said, we'd like to do bespoke stuff. We do try and work, do like the odd corporate thing, but we don't really go out asking for these things. People just sort of approach us. We've done a few bits and pieces in the past. We did some stuff for Facebook and various things, usually for like events or but I think what happened was, I think it was through Instagram, that just so happened that the lady who was the head of PR at GHD stumbled across us on Instagram and fell in love with our stationery. And she contacted us, it was all the way at the start of the year, saying, this is really, really random, but I'm just thinking ahead to this year's breast cancer limited edition straighteners. So I don't know whether you know, but GHD every year, I think they've been doing it for it might be 25 years.
Wow.
Or maybe it's for as long as GHD's existed, they've done a limited edition set of hair straighteners every year for breast cancer, and they've always been pink. They've had a pink theme to them. In the last few years, they've been designed by an artist. They're limited edition, and a chunk of money from the sale of them goes to breast cancer charity. And I think they've raised something like £10 million for breast cancer now.
Wow.
Really, really amazing. And I've used GHDs ever since I was younger because I have just the most flyaway frizzy hair otherwise. And obviously our brand is very pink. So when they approached us, I fell off my chair because I was like, this is just, for me, this just ticks every single box of what I love. I absolutely love to be involved. And I'm lucky enough to go to their offices in central London and chat to them about it. And essentially what we did was we put together a pack, and this year's breast cancer's awareness, this year's limited edition straighteners were designed incredibly by a mastectomy tattoo artist, a guy called David Allen, who does tattoos on women who've had mastectomies to make them feel more feminine and sort of embrace their body post surgery. And he designed the straighteners for this year, which have this, or the stylers, they call them stylers, the stylers for this year, which have one of his tattoo designs on them. And we took that and applied it to a limited edition notebook, all sorts of different stationery accessories, and created this sort of pack, which they then sent globally to all sorts of different press, from Vogue to Marie Claire to to everyone, to basically launch the straighteners. And with that, also the information about them, and also this incredible video where he talks about the inspiration behind the design. And one of the ladies he has done a tattoo on talks about the impact that his art on her has had. And honestly, you can't watch this video without crying. It is so emotive. But no, we're absolutely delighted to work with them. So we did hundreds of these packs, and yeah, so a really good cause. And I know, yeah, something I'm really, really proud of. And they've been so supportive. They're absolutely wonderful company to work with. They loved we did one of the things that we'd made them is like some stickers, and they turned them into little gifts you can use on Instagram if you search for GHD or Martha Brook. And they've been so supportive. They sent me a bunch of flowers afterwards to say thank you. And the lady sent me several messages saying how overjoyed she's been with the project. And yeah, she wants to do something again, maybe in the future. So no, that for me has been one of the real highlights of this year. A brilliant initiative. It was something that came about, through Instagram and through, again, word of mouth. And I think what we created was really, really beautiful. And yeah, I'm really proud of it.
It's absolutely gorgeous. I will find that video and I'll put it in the links in the show notes.
I can send it to you. It's on YouTube. It's really, really emotive, and I think it's great that they get behind it. And I think it's a really good collaboration this year with this guy, this tattoo artist. It's really interesting to see.
It's actually a very positive collaboration as well, isn't it? Because I lost my mother to breast cancer. It's a subject that's very close to my heart. Showing the positive side, as in someone who is, a real warrior, a real survivor, and the beauty of it, not of the condition. Obviously, it's horrific, but the beauty that can come afterwards, and the people who help to make that part of it, and it's a real art. I think that's really lovely and really different way of approaching it as well.
I know, I agree. There's a lady, if you may have heard of, called who on Instagram, her Instagram handle is Bowel Babe, and she's called Bowel Babe because she has bowel cancer.
Yes.
Her name is Deborah James. So you may have heard of her because she does a podcast on BBC 5 Live, and with two other ladies who have cancer, and one of them died this year. So she's been in the news a lot, talking about it. And she is quite vocal, because often breast cancer is the thing that is talked about, and actually there's a lot of other types of cancer. She obviously has quite advanced bowel cancer, and she is quite vocal because sometimes things with breast cancer are, they're all like, girly, and they skirt around the issue, and they're not very real, or they don't really recognise that there are other types of cancer. And she actually came out and said, what GHD have done with this campaign is incredible. I think it's amazing. It's really, really got the tone right, really thought-provoking. It's really empowering. And I think her endorsement of it for me was a really big thing, because I really respect her. She's very vocal, she's got a book called F You Cancer, I won't say the word, and she's just, I think she's amazing. You know, she basically, her whole thing is, I'm going to live my life and I'm going to show you that it's possible to do that, and you know, and fight it. And if anybody wants to follow an inspiring Instagram account, I definitely would recommend her.
That's really lovely as well, to have that kind of support.
Yeah, I think she's great. I mentioned her as well because she was one of the ladies that we sent the Advent Calendar to last year, and because I met her through another lady called Steph Douglas, who runs a business called Don't Buy Her Flowers. And we actually, another thing we've done for cancer is we made some notebooks for their Stand Up to Cancer gift packs that you can buy on their website. So we try and do bits here and there when we see opportunities, because I do think it's causes that you care about. It's really important to try and chase them and work out what you can do to be involved.
Completely. That's obviously an amazing campaign you've done this year. You've just got the Advent Calendar. Now, one that I imagine quite a lot of people listening will know about is recently Jules. I mean, I'm actually wearing Jules as I'm talking to you.
Oh, yes.
Love Jules. They have recently launched a really cool online shopping destination on their main site called Friends of Joules. Yes. And you are part of this, aren't you? Well, more than just a bit of it. You've got a whole exclusive line.
Yes, I'm really excited about this. I think it's a brilliant idea from Jules. So they are 30 this year, and I love the story of them. So it's quite similar to us. You know, they have a founder, a guy called Tom Jewell, and he decided to start it. 30 years ago, he had a little stall, put his products out there, and it's sort of grown from there to become this amazing British brand. As you know, I think a lot of us will have bought things from Jules before. They're really they're very very focused on colour and quality, and very much this kind of contemporary country lifestyle. And this came about. So part of their 30th birthday, they've decided to do this thing where they want to support other British businesses, and they're calling it Friends of Joules, which I think is a really lovely term. They want to gather some friends. They want to host them on their website, sort of like a marketplace. So when you go on there, as opposed to just seeing Joules stuff, you can also see other things from other British businesses that they love, their friends, which is just such a brilliant idea. And we were exhibiting at Spirit of Christmas last year, and the founder, Tom Jules, walked past our stand, and he really fell in love with our stationery, and he came over and had a chat with us, and that was where our sort of conversations with them started. And we decided, when they started to talk to us about it, that we wanted to do something totally different for them. And we have developed a range of stationery with like a hint of pattern, which is the first time we've done that. 5 new patterns, which you can get on this range, which is exclusively available through Jules and also on our website. And it's a very new initiative for them. So I don't think at the moment necessarily people will think, I'm going to buy a gift, I'm going to go to Jules. But of course you have to start somewhere. And so at the moment it's sort of like it's like a separate section of their website, but they also have integrated it in the other sort of categories. And yeah, I think I'm really delighted to be a part of it. I think the brands they've chosen are all really lovely British brands, some very, very small, some quite large, like the brand Cox and Cox, who I'm also a big fan of. And it's I think it's a really, really, really nice initiative, and I'm really pleased to be a part of it. I think one of the challenges for us is that we've made the decision we're not going to sell wholesale, so we're not going to be stocked in lots of shops, because one of the big USPs about our brand is that we make delightfully individual stationery. So I talked about it before, it's that personal touch, it's that having your name on it, choosing your colour, having something, the wording that is personal to you. So that means that we have to find places that we can sell, like our website, where people can come and have that personal experience. So that also makes it quite hard, because you have to do your own marketing, you have to get yourself out there, which is why Not on the High Street has been very good for us, because they have that marketplace platform. So when the Jules opportunity came along, I thought that was a really really interesting thing for them to do, and it's I think it works really well for us and our brand too. And I really hope that people can kind of discover us in that way. It'll be really interesting to see as we head into Christmas, how it does, and how they sort of market it. I think their launch has been really good. That at Burley Horse Trials, I think their stand was amazing, and it'd be really interesting to see what happens.
I feel like the stand might have won an award at Burley Horse Trials.
It won the award for best stand.
Very good. One of my lovely clients, HiHo Silver, is also part of the Friends of Joules.
Oh, brilliant
system. And actually, Tom judged HiHo have sponsored the best dressed at the first trot up, so the first horse inspection.
Yes.
For a few years now. And this year, Tom judged alongside the MD of HiHo, Emma, who is also Dimpsey.
Oh, gosh. Wow. Okay.
It's all together. I was really excited when I saw some of the pieces that were in the Friends of Joules collection, and obviously that you were in there as well. It was just completing a loop for me.
Oh no! Well, thank you very much. No, I hope you like what we've done, and
gorgeous.
I think they're a great brand, and it would be really interesting to see how this takes off, and what it does. Really interesting.
So now we're thinking of part of your Friends of Joules collection. You've done notebooks, and you've also done 2020 diaries and planners, which I imagine is absolutely, we're now in the season when you are making planners and gifting and diaries like there's no one's business.
Yes. Obviously, like December and January for us are huge because of diary season, which is a really big thing for us. I'm a great believer in the power of writing things down, and I still have a paper diary, as I know you do, Ria.
I do.
I think that a diary is a really lovely way of expressing yourself and expressing your personal styles. What's the point of having a boring diary? And I think one of the big things that we do is try and make diaries which are inspiring, they're uplifting. You can pick your color, you can put your name in it, you can choose a lovely design, and it does go a bit crazy for us around Christmas time with those. And we're always trying to kind of think, okay, how can we evolve that? How can we make something a bit different to what you can get elsewhere? So we have got a few new diary ranges coming this year. We are currently working, and by the time this comes out, hopefully will be released, with somebody who is, I can say this because by the time this will come out, it won't be a secret anymore, but right now it's a secret. Okay. We're currently working with an ex-Great British Bake Off contestant on a special diary that will have a seasonal recipe each month. And I am so excited about it because I honestly think it's one of the best things we've done. Hopefully that'll be out by mid-November. And that I'm really, really excited about. And we're also working, and I don't know whether we'll be able to get it out in time for this Christmas, but we're working on a new type of planner, which we've not done before. Everyone's heard of the old Filofax, and I think there's no company that's sort of modernized that idea.
That's exciting. I mean, I love a planner.
We're sort of Martha Brook planner, but I can't say any more at the moment, but that's sort of in the works. So we're always sort of trying to pushing the the sort of the envelope into, so to speak. I love that phrase, pushing the envelope as to what the kind of next thing is. So hopefully when people listen to this podcast, they pop on over to our website or our social media, they'll see some of these new things being released. But really excited about diary season this year, and I hope that we've got some stuff that people are going to really, really love.
Definitely. Well, what we're going to do on the day this podcast is released, we're going to have a competition which is going to launch at 7:15 on my Instagram, and
amazing.
Just going to have to look and see what we're going to give away, because I don't want to spoil the surprise, but it's going to be amazing, and very, very excited to give that away. And thank you very, very much for working with me on that, Martha. I massively appreciate that.
Well, I'm delighted. It'd be lovely to spread a bit of love amongst your listeners, and I'm excited about what we're going to give away.
Thank you. So thanks so much for talking to me. Tell us all the places where anyone who doesn't follow you can follow you online and drool over, well, not literally drool over your stationery because it's a paper-based product, but you know what I mean.
Actually, a lot of our book covers are waterproof, so if you
drool proof.
Drool proof, so drool away. Maybe not inside. So obviously our website, www.marthabrook.com. Our Instagram, which is at Martha Brook LDN, so Martha Brook London. And actually our Facebook and Twitter is the same, so Martha Brook LDN. And you can also find us on LinkedIn, which we've just started doing. Do come and spread some love. I love a chat. Come and chat on one of our posts, send me a DM. Let's have a chat. And I'm always very happy to help anybody if they've got any questions about stuff. And if anybody ever wants any bespoke stationery, you know where to come.
That's amazing. If you are listening to this, don't forget to take a screenshot and tag myself and Martha Brook LDN when you share into stories, because we would love to see where you're listening and what you think of it. I've loved this podcast. Thank you so much for speaking to me, Martha. It's made my week.
Oh, absolute pleasure. Really, really nice to finally chat, Ria. Thank you so much. And I'm really delighted to talk.